Have you ever stopped to wonder how the world around you actually gets designed? You know, how the apps on your phone, the clothes on your back, or the spaces you live in come to be? Well, we often just assume designers simply ask people what they want and then, boom, they build it. But here's a little secret for you. A lot of the time, people don't actually say what they need. Sometimes they don't even know. So how do designers discover what users truly need when the users themselves might not have a clue? The answer goes way, way beyond just asking questions. Welcome to This Explainer. So, the absolute ultimate tool in a designer's arsenal is actually incredibly simple. It's observation. Because while people might not verbalize their struggles, their actions reveal absolutely everything. Think about it for a second. Picture that hidden, super frustrating struggle of trying to quickly fix a jammed bag zipper while you're rushing to catch a completely packed local train in Mumbai during rush hour. You're stressed, you're adapting on the fly, but let's be real, you're definitely not going home to write a customer complaint letter about the zipper. You just kinda deal with it, right? Observation is all about catching those exact unspoken moments. All right, here is our quick roadmap for today. We're going to cover the power of observation, looking versus understanding, what do designers observe, observation across design fields, evidence over assumptions, and then we'll wrap up with the observation challenge.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the power of observation, and how we go about uncovering those hidden needs.
You see, many design problems are practically invisible to us. Why? Because we humans are just so incredibly good at surviving and adapting. We get completely used to inconveniences without even realizing they are inconveniences anymore. Observation is how we uncover them. It's the process of carefully studying people, environments, objects, and experiences to discover real insights. Literally every single small detail, from our daily habits to the minor annoying difficulties we face, can become a massive breakthrough design opportunity. When a designer watches someone struggling with that jammed bag zipper every single day, they don't just see a broken bag, they identify a clear opportunity to improve the design. Observation helps us discover real, tangible problems instead of just assumed ones. Moving right along to Section 2. Looking versus understanding. This is a massive paradigm shift. There is a huge, absolute critical difference between passively navigating the world and actively investigating it. Looking means simply stating, okay, I see what is happening. It's totally passive. But observation? That means saying, I understand why it is happening. True designers don't just notice an action happening in front of them, they decode the why behind it. I mean, anyone can look and see a person standing in the rain, but an observer, they figure out exactly why that person's umbrella isn't opening properly in the first place. It's all about moving from the surface level down to the actual root cause. Which brings us to Section 3. What exactly do designers observe? Let's break this down into 4 key pillars. So, if we're shifting from just passively looking to actively understanding, what exactly should we be paying attention to? Let's ground these 4 pillars in some real, everyday situations. First up, actions. What are people actually doing? Think about how someone specifically holds or uses a product. Second, environment. Where does the activity happen? How do people physically move through a space like a super active, bustling Indian kitchen during the morning meal prep rush? Third, emotions. How do people feel? Imagine the sheer panic of trying to make a quick UPI payment at a really noisy street food stall. The app is hanging, the vendor's just staring at you. We've all been there, right? Are they confused, frustrated, relieved when it finally goes through? And fourth, challenges. Where does the actual difficulty lie? These are those hidden everyday pain points. These exact fleeting moments are where the absolute biggest opportunities for innovation hide.
All right, let's jump to Section 4, observation across design fields. We're going to look at this through 6 different lenses.
Now, you might be thinking this research mindset only applies to tech or gadgets, but no way. Let's take a rapid-fire tour across 6 totally different design fields, starting with fashion. Fashion designers observe lifestyles, dressing habits, movement, and comfort requirements. Think about the daily realities of wearing ethnic wear in India. A good designer observes how a sari actually needs to move as someone climbs the high steps of a public bus, or how a curtain needs to breathe and allow for real comfort during a long, sweaty, busy workday. They are observing the need for functional, real-world movement, not just what looks pretty on a mannequin.
Let's shift gears to interior design and see how this builds. Here, designers observe how people use spaces and interact with their surroundings. Picture a multi-generational Indian joint family. It's fascinating. An observant interior designer watches how a single living room dynamically transforms throughout the whole day. From a quiet morning prayer space to a completely chaotic homework zone for the kids in the afternoon to a communal gathering area for everyone at night. They have to design for that dynamic, shared utility.
Over in the digital realm, UI and UX designers observe how users navigate apps and websites. They are closely watching the digital struggles and those quick, ingrained habits of users. They observe exactly how far a thumb has to reach across a large phone screen, or exactly where a user hesitates for just a second before clicking a button on a super complex railway booking app. They watch that behavior so they can entirely remove the friction.
For product designers, it gets incredibly tactile. They study exact physical interactions. They observe how people hold, open, carry, and use everyday objects. They are hunting for that tiny bit of friction in how someone grips a hot cutting chai glass, or how they balance a stacked tiffin box on a crowded morning commute. By really observing the grip, the weight, and the interaction, they can design a way better, much more ergonomic everyday item. Graphic designers apply this exact same thinking by observing how audiences interact with visual information. They watch how people observe, read, and react to messaging in their real environment. In a visually loud environment, say filled with street signs, colorful shop banners, and chaotic hoardings at a busy deli intersection, an observant graphic designer notes what actually cuts through the noise and catches the eye, versus what gets completely lost. They observe how quickly someone can process a sign while literally driving past it at 40 kilometers an hour. And finally, textile design. These designers observe how specific materials behave and how users experience them physically. They study how fabrics drape, how they hold up in the wash, and crucially, how they breathe. They observe the absolute necessity of certain weaves and natural fibers to keep people cool and comfortable during those sweltering, hot, and insanely humid Indian summers. So as you can see, 6 completely different fields, but the exact same core research mindset. Moving on to Section 5, Evidence over Assumptions. Let's talk about the ultimate designer's trap. Okay, we need to address the elephant in the room here. Letting our own personal opinions completely override actual user realities. Assumption basically says, well, I think users want this. Evidence, on the other hand, asks, hold on, did we actually observe this? You really have to check your ego at the door. Look, we all have biases. We all kind of think we know what's best. But good designers, actually, scratch that, great designers, they replace their assumptions with hard evidence gathered through real observation. Observation is literally the only bridge that moves you from subjective, personal opinions to objective, highly actionable insights. And that brings us to Section 6, the Observation Challenge. Time to put these skills into practice.
Design is an active practice, right? So here is a super simple 3-step exercise straight from our source material that you can use to start noticing the hidden world immediately around you today. Step 1, just choose any everyday activity. It could be someone scrolling on a phone, someone carrying a heavy bag, someone cooking dinner, or honestly, even just someone entering a room. Step 2, observe carefully. Just pause and really notice. Don't interfere, don't help, just watch. Step 3, ask yourself some questions. What are they actually doing? Where exactly do they hesitate or struggle? And most importantly, what could be improved?
All of this brings us to our core philosophy for today. Observation is the foundation of empathy.
You simply cannot design for someone if you don't truly understand them. Paying close, careful attention helps designers understand real people living in real situations. The absolute best, most innovative design ideas out there almost always begin with this one simple, quiet act: paying attention to the world around you.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought as you go about the rest of your day. Armed with your brand new toolkit, take a closer look at the routines you normally just ignore. Watch the actions, feel the environments, notice the emotions, and spot the challenges. What hidden problems will you notice today? Keep observing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.